Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening a file that feels, well, it feels cold.
Cold is the right word.
And I don't just mean the temperature, though we're heading to Scandinavia late October. We're talking about a suburb of Stockholm, Sweden. The year is 1981.
Specifically the last 2 weeks of October 1981. And you're right about the cold. It's a damp, gray, penetrating kind of cold that just, it seems to seep out of the source material itself.
The place is Blackeberg. Now, for anyone who hasn't spent time digging into Swedish urban planning, that name might not mean much. But looking at the city planning documents we've pulled, this place was designed to be a utopia.
It really was. Constructed in the 50s, modern, rational. It was supposed to be the respectable life made real.
Exactly. You have the subway commutes all planned out, the functional furniture, nature carefully arranged around these earth-colored concrete blocks. It just looks ordered.
It was a community designed implicitly to be free of terror. That's really how you have to understand it. We have to talk about the concept of folkhemmet, the people's home.
Right. This is the big idea of the Swedish Social Democrats.
Yes, and the idea was that the state would replace all the old, unpredictable structures. Things like the church or the multi-generational family farm. The state, through science and reason and concrete, would provide all the safety you needed.
Which is fascinating because when you look at the map of Blackberg from 1981, there's something very obviously missing.
No church.
Zero. Not a single one.
9,000 inhabitants and not a single steeple on the skyline. The sources, they describe it as a place built by pioneers who marched over the bridge in the 50s singing the Internationale.
So it's rational. It's secular.
The architects were basically saying, we have evolved past the need for God. The state is your shepherd now. We have central heating. You don't need prayers to keep you warm.
And here's where this deep dive gets really interesting. And honestly, it gets a little unsettling. We have this whole stack of documents, police reports, witness narratives, personal diaries, and they tell us that in late October 1981, that sterile piece didn't just crack.
No, it was completely shattered.
We are looking at a single week where a planned community, a place built to exclude the irrational, became a hunting ground for something that, just shouldn't exist.
And that is the absolute core tension of this entire analysis. We're looking at a series of just gruesome events. There's a ritualistic murder in Vällingby, a disappearance in Blackeberg itself, and then this chaotic, bloody assault at a public swimming pool.
But we aren't just looking at the crimes.
No, we are looking at the environment that allowed them to happen. We have to ask the question, why didn't the people's home protect its people?
That's it. That's the mission today, to figure out how a predator, or maybe two predators, could operate in plain sight, in a place where everyone lives on top of everyone else. You've got thin walls, neighbors everywhere you look. And yet somehow, at the center of it all, we find this lonely 12-year-old boy named Oskar, who is effectively invisible.
Oskar is the epicenter. If Blackeberg is the stage, Oskar is the protagonist who shows us all the cracks in the foundation.
So let's start unpacking this. We've set the scene. Blackeberg, 1981. It's rational, it's concrete, there are no ghosts.
Well, no ghosts officially. The source material makes a really interesting point about that. It says children in Blackeberg couldn't even do history projects on their own town.
Wait, really? Why not?
Because there was no history.
Seriously?
Literally no history to speak of. Before the concrete trucks rolled in during the 50s, there was maybe an old mill, a tobacco king from way, way back, but nothing that connected to the apartment blocks where they actually lived. It's described in one of our sources as a place beyond the grasp of the mysteries of the past. It was a total blank slate.
And that kind of isolation, that lack of ghosts or folklore or anything like that, it has to create a kind of psychological void, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The expert consensus here, and I have to agree with it, is that a place built to be so safe and so rational is actually the most vulnerable place for the irrational to take root.
Why is that?
Because nobody believes in monsters in a town with a subway station and a grocery store. If you see something strange in the woods in some superstitious old village, you might be wary, you might listen to that instinct.
Sure.
But if you see it in Blackeberg, you assume it's a drunk or a trick of the light. You rationalize it away until it's too late, until it beats you.
Which brings us to the arrivals. We have a record here. It's from a moving truck driver, and it's dated October 18th, 1981.
Yeah.
At first glance, it just seems so mundane. A simple logbook entry.
This log it's chilling in its banality. It records a move from a town called Norrköping to Blackeberg, a man and a child. But you have to look at the notes the driver made in the margins.
Okay, yeah, the details are just slightly off. The customer wanted the move done at night.
At night, which incurred an extra charge. That's highly unusual for what seems to be a budget move in a working-class suburb. I mean, people don't pay extra for a night shift unless they have to, unless they're hiding something.
And the amount of furniture.
Almost non-existent. A couch, an armchair, a bed, maybe. It's not a home being moved. It's more like a staging area being set up.
And the driver specifically notes that the first thing they did was paper over the windows. Immediately.
Right. They move in and the blinds are drawn tight. The windows are covered. No names go up on the door. Or rather, the old names of the previous tenants are just left up. It's total, absolute anonymity. They are sealing themselves into a concrete box.
So you have these new tenants who are essentially building a fortress inside an apartment. And right next door, sharing a wall with this mystery, you have Oskar.
Oskar. Yeah, we need to spend some real time on Oskar.
Yeah.
Because he is the product of this environment. He's 12 years old, lives with his mother, and he is profoundly, achingly lonely.
The sources paint a really heartbreaking picture of this kid. He's not just lonely, he's tormented. And we have to talk about the physical reality of his life. It's visceral. He has a condition.
The incontinence, it's stress-induced incontinence.
Yeah. He wets his pants when he's scared. In 1981, there aren't discrete high-tech solutions for a 12-year-old boy. So he has this device. He calls it the piss ball.
I cringe every time I see that word in the text. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a piece of foam sponge he hacked out of an old mattress with a knife.
Just picture that for a second. The sensory reality of it. You're 12 years old. You are terrified of the bullies at school. And you are walking around with a urine-soaked sponge shoved in your pants to absorb the accidents.
The smell alone.
The constant fear that someone will smell it or that it will fall out.
It creates a wall between him and the rest of humanity. He can't let anyone get close. If they get close, they smell him. If they smell him, his social life is over. It's a constant low-level panic that he lives with every single day.
And the bullies, they know he's vulnerable. We've got three main antagonists here in the schoolyard. Johnny, Mike, and then Tomas. And Tomas, he seems to be the psychological ringleader.
Tomas is the smart one. He doesn't always get his hands dirty, but he orchestrates the humiliation. And the bullying isn't just, give me your lunch money. It's ritualized. It's specifically designed to deconstruct Oskar's dignity piece by piece.
Squeal like a pig.
Exactly. That phrase comes up again and again. They corner him in the bathroom. They threaten to shove his head in the toilet, which for a germ-phobic kid who is already terrified of smelling like urine is the ultimate horror.
It's his worst nightmare.
They make him squeal. It's about total domination. And Oskar's reaction isn't just to cry, although he certainly does that. He dissociates. He retreats into this fantasy life. We see in his personal narratives that he starts collecting newspaper clippings of murders.
This is a crucial detail. He has a scrapbook.
A scrapbook of death. He reads about arsenic poisonings, about mass murderers. He's fascinated by the electric chair. He isn't looking for justice. He's looking for power. He's studying how people inflict pain on others.
And there's this one scene. It's in the bathroom, right after the bullies leave him. Oskar is there. He's humiliated. He's holding this piss ball. And he looks in the mirror.
This is the pivot point for his character. It's a real turning point. He takes the sponge and he puts it on his nose, like a clown nose.
A clown nose soaked in his own urine.
It's grotesque, but it's a moment of transformation. He's taking the object of his shame and turning it into a mask. He stares at himself and whispers to his reflection, "Kill them."
He creates a persona, the murderer. He starts fantasizing about stabbing them.
And it's not just a fantasy. He actually goes out into the woods with a kitchen knife and he stabs trees.
He practices.
He does. He practices. He whispers, "Squeal like a pig" to the tree, reversing the roles. He is rehearsing violence. And this is what makes the dynamic here so incredibly volatile. Oskar is isolated, he's angry, and he's actively looking for power. He is susceptible to anything that offers him a way out of being the victim. That vacuum we talked about in the town. Oskar is the vacuum and he's waiting to be filled.
So you have a boy practicing murder on trees in the margins of this planned community. And then suddenly a real murder happens. And the contrast is just jarring.
The Vallingby murder, October 21st.
This is the event that completely changes the atmosphere of the entire suburb. A teenage boy is found in a forested area near Vallingby. And the state of the body is, well, it defies the physics of a normal crime.
It's absolutely horrific. The boy is found hanging upside down from a tree. His throat has been slit. But the forensic anomaly, and this is what completely stumped the police, is that the body was drained of blood.
Drained, like empty.
Completely empty. And yet, the report is very clear on this. There was almost no blood found on the ground underneath him.
Wait, hold on. If you slit someone's throat while they're upside down, gravity does its work. I mean, there should be a lake of blood. How do you drain a human body in a public park without leaving a massive mess?
That is the impossible nature of the crime. That's the question everyone was asking. It implies a level of calculation and equipment that suggests some kind of sophisticated ritual. The media immediately jumped on ritual murder. They started looking for cults, for Satanists.
But we, looking at the full source material, know who did it. And it wasn't some dark, sophisticated cult. It was Hakan.
Hakan, the man from the moving truck, the man living in the apartment right next door to Oskar.
Let's talk about Hakan.
Yeah.
Because he completely defies the profile of a mastermind killer.
Yeah.
If you were casting a movie villain, you would not pick this guy.
Not at all. He's middle-aged, disheveled, sweaty. He wears the ski mask that makes him look more ridiculous than scary. And he's not a sadist. He isn't killing because he enjoys the act of killing.
He's killing because he's a provider.
That is the most chilling, but also the most accurate way to put it. He is grocery shopping.
For blood.
For blood. He's living with the child, Eli, and Eli needs blood to survive. Hakan is the procurer. He's the supply chain.
But he's so clumsy. I mean, reading through the account of his night, it's a comedy of errors, except it ends in a horrific death. He vomits from stress. He listens to children singing on the radio to psych himself up.
It's pathetic. It really is. He messes up repeatedly. He almost gets caught by a dog walker right at the start. He passes up two perfectly good potential victims, two girls because he's too cold and too scared to act. He's not a natural predator. He's a desperate man trying to do a predator's job.
And he relies on this canister of halethane gas.
Right, to subdue his victims. Because he can't actually overpower them physically. He's weak.
So he's not some monster of physical strength.
No. And that's the tragedy of Hakan. He views himself as a martyr for love. He does the unthinkable so his beloved Eli doesn't have to kill for herself. He thinks he is saving Eli's soul by damning his own.
He literally hangs the boy upside down to drain him into a plastic jug. It's so industrial, it's messy. And like you said, he views this whole horrible process as an act of devotion.
I do this for you. That's his internal mantra. But because he's so clumsy, so inept, he creates this massive police investigation. He brings the spotlight right down on the very person he's trying to protect. He is the weak link in this whole operation.
So while Hakan is out there bungling murders and drawing police attention to the area, Oskar meets his new neighbor.
The meeting at the jungle gym, this is an iconic moment in the timeline of these events.
It's dark. It's freezing cold. We keep coming back to that Swedish October cold. Oskar is out there, probably brooding about the bullies, stabbing his little knife into the wood of the jungle gym. And there's this child just standing there.
Eli. And the description of Eli is striking. Thin, pale, and wearing only a thin pink sweater in freezing temperatures.
No coke.
No coat. And not shivering, just standing there, perfectly still.
And the smell. Oskar notices the smell, right? It's not BO or anything normal. It's something else.
He describes it as smelling like an infected wound or a sick dog. It's a biological wrongness. It's the smell of something that isn't metabolizing correctly.
But then there's the Rubik's Cube. Oskar is obsessed with his cube.
It's his shield. It's his proof that he's smart. He carries it everywhere. He shows it to Eli. And Eli, who claims to be 12, has evidently never seen one before, which is very odd. For 1981, they were everywhere.
A cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely. But she takes it.
And she solves it.
Instantly. Just turns it in her hands, the colors flash, and it's done.
I mean, that's a massive red flag. Or a massive hook for a kid like Oskar. It's a display of unnatural intelligence or perception.
It hooks him immediately. He thinks, here is someone special. But there's this push and pull. Eli is very direct. She tells him, I can't be friends with you. But she keeps coming back. She's drawn to his loneliness, to his isolation.
And there's that moment where Oskar offers her candy. Just a perfectly normal kid thing to do. Do you want a gummy bear or something?
And she refuses. She says, I can't, because she knows it will make her violently sick. She can't process human food. Her body would reject it.
And the age question. She says she's 12. But then later, she clarifies that, doesn't she? I've been 12 for a long time.
And that heartbreaking line, I'm not a girl.
Let's pause on that. In a modern context, that could mean a lot of different things. But in the context of the source material.
In the context of the source material, it's a literal biological statement. Eli is saying, I have been gelded. Or perhaps, I am a creature that creates an illusion of gender. But on a deeper level, she's trying to be honest with Oskar without scaring him away completely.
And what's really fascinating is how she influences him. She doesn't tell him to be nice or to turn the other cheek. She finds out about the bullying and she tells him to fight back.
Strike back hard. That's her advice. She validates his anger. Think about it. Oscar's mom is distracted and tired. His dad is absent, a drunk living somewhere else. The teachers ignore the abuse. But Eli looks at him and says, essentially, you are right to be angry. You should hurt them.
It becomes this symbiotic relationship. Oscar provides connection. He provides puzzles, a window into humanity for her. And Eli provides him with the permission to be violent.
Eli is a mirror for him. When Oscar looks at her, he sees someone who is an outsider, just like he is, but she's powerful. And he wants that power. He starts to feed off of her confidence.
Speaking of power and the lack of it, we need to widen the lens back to the community again. Because we have what I like to call the Greek chorus of Blackburg, the guys who hang out at the Chinese restaurant.
The local drunks.
Yeah.
Blackie, Morgan, Larry, Jock, and Gosta. Every suburb has a group like this. They sit around, they drink beer, and they comment on the world passing by. They are a fixture of the suburb. They represent the everyman.
And one of them, Jock, he actually has a plan. He's the tragic figure in this group. He's going to escape.
Jock is the tragedy of the common man. He plans to go to the Canary Islands. He talks about it constantly. It's his one dream. And he's actually sober for once on the night in question. He's walking home, thinking about his new life, about palm trees and warm sun.
And he takes the underpass.
The fatal mistake. In urban planning, the underpass is meant to separate pedestrians from traffic for safety. But at night, it becomes a trap. A concrete box with no exits.
He finds a child, Eli, in the underpass. And it looks like the child is injured or sick.
It's the Good Samaritan trap. He's a decent guy at heart. He tries to help. He bends down to offer assistance.
And this is where the monstrous reality just crashes into the mundane suburban world. Jock tries to lift this small, frail-looking child, and the child attacks.
The source material describes the strength disparity as just horrifying. Eli lashes onto his neck like 4 hands wrapped around a doll.
Like 4 hands. That image is just...
It conveys this impossible strength. She breaks his ribs just by holding on. It's pure biological horror. A small child overpowering a grown man effortlessly. Jock's dream of the Canary Islands ends right there, in a concrete tunnel in Blackburg.
But there's a witness.
Gosta,
the cat hoarder, another one of the group. He lives with dozens of deformed cats in his apartment. He sees this happen from a distance. He sees a child killing his friend.
And he does nothing. He retreats. He runs back to his apartment. He surrounds himself with his cats, and he stays silent.
Why? I mean, just pure fear.
It's fear, certainly, but it's also confusion. How do you report that a child ate your friend? It goes right back to that central theme. The irrational has no place in Blackenberg. If he says what he saw, he's just the town crazy. He's a drunk. No one will ever believe him. So he retreats into denial.
And meanwhile, Hakan has to clean up the mess. Eli fed, but she left the body.
And this is a particularly gruesome scene. Hakan finds Jock's body in the underpass, and he discovers that Eli, either in her frenzy or maybe just to make feeding easier, has twisted Jock's head a full 360 degrees.
So the spine is snapped.
Completely. Hakan has to dispose of this body. He drags it to the nearby water, he weighs it down with rocks, and he sinks it. It's a cold, mechanical cleanup. But inside, you can tell from the narratives, Hakan is panicking. He realizes he's losing control of the situation. The police are swarming the area. The community is on edge. He knows he can't keep doing this.
And while all of this is happening, while a serial killer is dumping bodies in the local lake and a vampire is eating the neighbors, the rest of the country is completely obsessed with something else entirely. We have to talk about the submarine.
The Whiskey on the Rocks incident, this is absolutely critical context for the era.
Yeah, what was it, October 27th to 28th? A Soviet U-137 submarine runs aground near Karlskrona, deep in Swedish territory.
It was a massive international incident. I mean, the Cold War literally crashed onto Swedish shores. Sweden prides itself on its neutrality, on being safe, and suddenly there is a nuclear-armed Soviet sub stuck on a rock in their territorial waters.
So the news is dominated by it. Every headline, every radio broadcast is about the sub.
And the children, including Oscar, are playing nuclear war in the sandbox. They're mimicking the anxiety of the adult world.
It's such a brilliant, if accidental, distraction. The adults are all looking at the borders, terrified of the Russians. They're looking outward. Meanwhile, the real monster isn't invading from the sea.
It's living in the apartment complex.
It really highlights this theme of the violated nation. Sweden felt safe. Suddenly, its borders are breached. The national border is breached by the sub and the domestic border. The sanctity of the home is breached by Eli and Hakan. The safety of the people's home is proven to be an illusion on every single level. So the pressure is building. Hakan is getting desperate. He's also getting jealous of Oskar, isn't he? Because he can hear Eli talking to him through the wall.
They're using Morse code. Oskar taught Eli Morse code. They tap these simple messages through the concrete wall. Sweet dreams. Hello, are you there? It's an intimate, secret language that Hakan can't access. He's literally on the outside, listening in to this secret communication.
He's losing his place in her life. He demands one night of closeness with Eli in exchange for one last blood run. He wants to touch her, to just lie next to her.
It's pathetic and it's creepy, but it drives him to take a massive risk. He decides he can't hunt in the woods anymore. It's too risky. He needs a contained environment. So he decides to hunt at the public swimming pool in Vällingby.
The Vällingby pool. This is the climax of Hakan's story. And we need to really slow down here because the way the sources describe this, it's like a cinematic split screen of utter horror and the totally mundane.
Hakan goes in. He hides in a changing stall. He's naked, he's wearing a ski mask, and he's holding a knife in his gas canister. He's waiting for a straggler.
Just picture that scene. A naked man in a ski mask crouched in a swimming pool changing stall.
And right outside, 2 feet away, separated by a thin plywood door, you have middle-aged men talking about handball and bowling.
We're talking about sports scores.
Completely casual, boring conversation. Did you see the game last night? How was your bowling average?
Meanwhile, on the other side of that flimsy partition, Hakan is preparing to butcher a child. That contrast is the horror of this story. The mundane and the monstrous are roommates.
Hakan finds a target, a boy named Matthias.
He manages to subdue Matthias with the gas. He hangs him upside down in the locker room on a hook. He's trying to replicate the ritual to get the blood, but the environment is all wrong. The lighting is bad, it's noisy, and the gas wears off too fast. Or maybe Hakan just messes up the dosage again. Matthias wakes up.
He wakes up hanging upside down, looking at a naked man in a ski mask, and he screams. And that scream ends Hakan's life effectively.
The men outside, the bowlers, they realize something is seriously wrong. They start banging on the door of the locker room.
Hakan is trapped. He knows he's caught. And he knows that if they identify him, they find the apartment, they find the truck records, they find Eli.
So he makes a choice. And this is the proof of his love. As twisted and horrible as it is, he has a jar of concentrated acid in his bag.
Oh, God, this part.
He doesn't throw it at the attackers coming through the door.
No, he pours it over his own face.
And elsewhere.
And his genitals.
Yeah.
The coroner's report is very clear. He pours acid on his face and his groin.
To destroy his identity.
To erase Hakan Bengtsson. To become a John Doe. He sacrifices his face, his identity, to protect Eli's secret. It is an act of supreme, twisted devotion.
And as he's lying there, writhing in agony, the smell of chlorine mixing with the smell of acid and burnt flesh, the source material says something incredibly strange happens. He hallucinates.
He sees Eli, but not as she is. He sees a boy angel coming to save him. In his final moments of consciousness, amidst the most excruciating pain imaginable, he is smiling. He retreats into a delusion that he is being saved by the very thing he worships.
Police burst in, and one of the cops leading the charge is a man named Staffan.
Staffan, yeah, we have to talk about Staffan for a minute. He's the local authority figure, the stepfather figure in the neighborhood. He's dating Tommy's mom.
He's the good guy, the protector.
He collects barometers, he plays piano, he puts on this facade of the perfect, respectable Swedish man. He likes order. He likes to predict the weather. He likes things to be knowable.
But he walks into that changing room.
And he is completely unprepared. He sees a monster writhing on the floor. His barometers didn't predict this. The people's home didn't prepare him for a man melting his own face off with acid.
And there's that little side story here with Tommy, the neighbor kid. He sees right through Staffan, doesn't he?
Tommy hates the facade. He knows Staffan is just this pompous guy who's dating his mom. So when Staffan rushes off to the crime scene, acting the hero, Tommy sneaks into his apartment and steals his shooting trophy.
And drops it off the balcony.
Into the bushes below. It's a small act, but it symbolizes the complete rejection of that false authority. The adults can't protect them. The trophies are meaningless. The police arrive too late.
So Hakan's gone. He's in the hospital, unrecognizable, under guard. But Eli is still hungry? And Oskar is changing.
Oskar is transforming. He is no longer just the victim. He has a knife. He has a powerful, supernatural ally. He has learned that violence works.
And there's a moment where Eli comes to him, starving, She climbs up the outside of the building to his window.
And this is crucial because Oskar realizes what she is. He confronts her. He asks her directly, "Are you a vampire?"
Does she say yes?
Not exactly. She says, "I live on blood." She never uses the V word. She describes her condition as a biological reality. She burns in the sun, she needs blood, and most importantly, she is bound by the old rules. She cannot enter a home without an invitation.
That's the title of the main source, Let the Right One In.
It's an old piece of folklore. A vampire cannot cross a threshold unless invited by the resident. If they do, the pressure inside them builds until they start to bleed from every pore. It's a binding law of their existence.
And Oskar tests it. He doesn't say anything. He hesitates.
He holds the power. For the first time in his life, Oskar holds absolute power over someone else. He could destroy her just by staying silent, but then he invites her in.
He accepts her.
He accepts the monster, and in doing so, he accepts his own shadow side. He accepts the predator that's been growing within himself. He effectively says, "I am with you, we are the same."
So let's connect all these dots here.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a week of absolute chaos in this quiet suburb. A boy drained of blood in the woods. A man disappeared into the lake. A horrific failed massacre at the public pool.
And a bullied boy who found a weapon.
The weapon being Eli.
Exactly. If we look at the timeline, the community is completely unraveling. The rational structures, the school, the police, the respectable life, they all failed to stop the monster. In fact, the monster lived quite comfortably in the gaps between those structures.
And Hakan is the collateral damage of all this.
He is the tragedy. He was a man destroyed by a forbidden, predatory love. He wasn't a monster initially. He was made into one by his proximity to Eli. He became the ghoul so she could remain the child.
And that leads to the really dark question about Oskar, doesn't it?
Is Oskar the next Hakan?
Right. Hakan is gone. Oskar's now the one close to Eli. The sources show they run away together in the end. So is Oskar just the new apprentice? 50 years from now, will Oskar be the old, disheveled man in the moving truck, pouring acid on his face to protect her?
That is the chilling implication. Or perhaps their relationship is something different. They have a bond Hakan never had. They are equals in a way. They're both children trapped by their circumstances.
But Oskar has crossed a line. He isn't just a victim of bullying anymore. He watched Eli kill. He helped her. He is an accomplice to a predator. He has tasted power. And he liked it.
It completely changes how we look at the monster in the woods trope. We usually fear the other, the stranger, the invader from outside. But in Blackenberg, the monster moved into the apartment next door.
And became the best friend of the most vulnerable boy in town.
It asks a really hard question about society. If the world ignores your pain, if the teachers look away, if your parents are drinking or working or just absent, if the state offers you nothing but concrete and silence, and a monster offers you the power to make the hurting stop.
You take the hand.
You take the hand. Even if it's cold, even if it smells like a grave, you let the right one in. Because the alternative is being alone in that bathroom forever with the piss ball.
That is a lot to process. It really flips the script on who the villain is here. Is it the vampire? Or is it the town that created the void where the vampire could thrive?
I think the town is the villain. Blackenberg is the monster. Eli is just the consequence.
Well, on that heavy note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive. But we really want you to think about that. When the systems that are supposed to protect us fail, what do we turn to? And what is the price of that protection?
Sometimes the price is blood. And sometimes it's your humanity.
Thanks for listening. Check the show notes for the map of Blackenberg we discussed and the full timeline of events. We'll see you in the next deep dive.